We are joined by both Comps and Meadowhawk.
Oh, fantastic. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. You heard a minute ago what our question of the day is. I want to pose that question to you guys, starting with Meadowhawk. Meadowhawk, your favorite map in the WGLNA?
Probably Prokhorovka. It kind of combines everything together. It's open enough that you can flex quickly with lights. It has the hull down for your heavies. And it's divided in half, so you get kind of those corner battles along the rails. It's just kind of an all-around great map.
So it's like the Cosmopolitan ice cream? Or Neapolitan?
Yeah, a little
Neapolitan. It's not Cosmo.
Chocolate.
I just said Cosmo. Yeah. Anyway, but it's just like that. You get your vanilla, your chocolate, your strawberry.
Exactly.
Okay, so jumping over to Comps. What is your favorite map, sir? Do you have a favorite? Will you tell us your secret?
Dust 2.
Dust. I don't know.
Well, we specified for the WGLNA.
It's the four maps. We'll repeat this. The four maps in the 8 maps in the WGLNA. Which one? You have to pick of those.
It's got to be steps. I mean, we've been the king of steps, and I think that's still the case. I mean, unfortunately, we haven't had the chance to play it this season, and we won't be playing it tonight. But it's still our favorite map by far.
Will you ever play it?
Yes.
Do you think that's actually another team's actually going to let you play steps? Or is this going to be
I don't know. Okay. But maybe someone will make the mistake and we'll end up playing it.
All right.
So when we talked to you in the winners interview on last week, you said that while you guys won, you still felt there was some room for improvement, some stuff you had to work on. What do you feel is the main thing that you guys really need to work on right now?
Just cohesion, still playing together a lot more. That type of stuff. Communication still needs working on. I mean, they're not used to our calling style. Our call-outs are short form for stuff. So once they figure that out and they get on the same page, then it'll be smooth sailing from there.
Yep. And Meadowhawk, so far, both the matches you guys have played have turned into very, very long matches. What does that all come down to?
It was kind of funny because both those matches were actually mirror matches with regards to maps. And they actually played out identical as well. I mean, we bumbled Ghost Town both times and then had to fight our way back and had the lead going in and then bumbled the last game to take it to overtime. So I think it's just a matter of cleaning up our rotations, cleaning up. We're almost like Rival was last season where they'll build up an HP lead and then just throw it away. So it's just finally grasping that kind of, the end of the game that we just can't, it keeps slipping out of our fingers.
The finishing power, as it were, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, being able to follow through. Well, against Apex, that's going to be tricky. Gentlemen, I'm going to see you on the battlefield. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving us your thoughts. And we'll let you guys get back to your teams. So, thank you again. It's, let's see if 07's going to have that finishing power, because this is Apex of all teams. And I like that Comps came out and said Steps is their top map, because I think statistically you have something to back that up, don't you?
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the map picks that we're going to be playing. We already mentioned that Cliff is going to be in place of Himmelsdorf. But first we have Prokhorovka again, Cliff, Ghost Town, Muravanka, and then Ghost Town for the tiebreaker. Now, something to think about here is when they go through the whole banning process. Earlier, M60s, no one wants to play mines on M60s. That's why we haven't seen it so far this season.
And actually, I do have which teams banned which maps. So if I glance down, I can see that Apex banned mines, and Apex banned steps. That's curious.
Maybe saving it for later?
Actually, that's not a bad play. Make sure you don't play steps. You know it's a good map. Comp said as much, so take him at his word on that. And because you don't think that it's going to matter, you're not going to need steps to win. Let's ban it. Make it so our opponents don't get to see our strats. They don't get to see our strengths. They don't get to work on counters. We'll hide that, keep it secret, until later in the season when we can pull those strats out, and we won't have a map that was our strongest that everyone just learned to counter us on.
Yep. Now, while we have a minute here, while we wait for the battle to start, let's go ahead and talk about Cliff for a second, because that's the first time we're seeing it tonight. Previously, through the seasons before, Cliff has been one of those maps where no team has really shied away from aggression. It's just been a map, even when you're defending, teams just like to brawl. They like to go up and over, go for the kills. Map rounds ended very quickly. So far, last season and this season, Cliff has slowed down considerably. Do you have any thoughts on why that's come to be?
No, I actually don't know why we'd necessarily have slowed things down as much. I actually wonder why teams don't speed things up.
Yeah, well, I think part of it has to do with physics, personally. I think a lot of that has to do with the physics coming in, the boost at A6 up in the north becoming a thing, and then the boost also on the hill, and teams can get up there a lot easier. And so what happens is now that teams can get into those good, hard positions that are hard to dig out, the attacking teams have to be a little bit more careful with how they attack. They don't want to push into those crossfires, which before you could neutralize fairly easily.
All right, well, we are loading in to battle number 1. Taking a look at the lineups, we have 07 with an IS-7, 4 Batchats, and
2 Emil 2s. Meanwhile, Apex coming in here with an IS-7, a Kronwagen, 3 Batchats, an STRV-103B, and an RU-251.
We'll have to see how this one's going to pan out.
And it is going to be 07 on attack and Apex on defense.
Let's see how this one's going to pan out. Opening moves. You'll have to excuse. I'm just going to call it right now. It looks like we've got a little mix-up on our scoreboards, so we're going to have to fix that for next battle. But I think we're going to have to live with it this time.
Yep. Well, looking at it, RU-251 making the passive scout position over at D8. That is going to be Wallhacks, just out in front, very similar to what we saw T1 Diabetic doing last game. And then looking at 07, they don't have any passive scouts. Well, they have some tanks they could use as passive scouts in the Batchats, but they opted for the 2 Emil 2s. The Tier 9, very similar to the Kronwagen. However, it has a longer reload on the clip, and the gun doesn't behave as nicely. So a little bit of a drop off there, but for 2 Tier 9s, and you still have pretty much the same armor that the Tier 10 has. It's not a bad trade. And both teams just opting to play pretty passive here. 07 just have their Batchats in the low ground at H6, down trying to cover the rest of their team in case they push up and over. Having the Emil 2s work the ridge line over in the middle of the map.
And we'll just have to see how this pans out. It's a very slow battle we're going to be seeing here. Because as you can see, both teams not really doing a whole lot of active scouting. Those emails in the mid, I think those are what we're going to watch for as they actually moving forward into what we call the bowl.
This is going to be a very dominant position for them. They have not only the gun depression, but the turret armor to sit here and really just pump out a lot of damage if other tanks can light for them.
Yeah, and if they're able to spot maybe Nits, they can deal some damage, but they don't want to get risky because the IS-7 Nits is in a position that should those emails kind of pop out, they may start taking fire, mostly sides of their turret. The email's still pretty well armored, right?
Let's take a look for a second and go look from the other side and see exactly how this looks with 2 Emils looking at you. Just look at that. Look at that shot.
Commodore at the meet at the same time is pushing up, and there come the Batchats. Good call from Nits on Apex to get out of his position. The Batchats do not have a target to descend upon, and they're going to have to cross quite a bit of
Andy
distance.
Pans is getting focused out. He's down to 1,100. One more shot is going to finish him off. Makos and Swipple will push over onto Nits, and they should actually take Nits out as well. So 1-to-1 trades here to open up the match.
Yeah, and Andy Pan's not down. He is at, 29 hit points. That cannot happen. Apex needed to get those kills. That's what they were depending on. And yes, 07 is down on hit points, but they still have a lot of guns in the game. And we do have an IS-7 Nits down in exchange for only one of the emails. And now Makos, yes, getting incredibly low, should go down. There he is. That's what we're waiting for. And Apex should be able to just get a little bit ahead here. They just have to take down Andy Pants, who is, well, safe and sound in a little bush. But Dodoma getting a little aggressive. He's going after Andy Pants. He knows he needs to get that kill, but at what cost is the big question. 07 makes their opponents pay.
It's actually going to be Ledif that gets up alongside Canadian Impact here, and he is going to empty his clip into him. And unless Ledif misplays it, he should be able to get this kill.
Yeah, and Wallhacks versus Commodore as well in the IS-7. Commodore trying to hold his ground, but he is now at 52 hit points.
Ledif gets the track, but he wasted a shot to do it. But he does manage to get the kill in the end.
Oh, and a ram kill from External. That's well played right there. He's focusing on Wallhacks, trying to get the kill on that little light tank. RU-251, do not underestimate it. Can deal quite a bit of damage if allowed to. And now 07, 3 tanks on the battlefield versus the 4 of Apex. The advantage for Apex right now, hit points and 1 tank alive. The Kronwagen, 3 Bat Chats and an RU versus 2 Bat Chats and an Email 2. So damage-wise, though, Apex has to respect what 07 still has on the battlefield. But I think position, would you give that to Apex or to 07?
I'd give it to Apex right now. They have the crossfire. They have more tanks alive. They have wall hacks in a passive spot in the south, so he'll know if they're rotating down there at all. And they just have too many tanks up along the north. I don't think they can really do anything about it.
Yeah, and with External and God Emperor Brett, where they are in their bat chats, they can deploy north-south wherever they need to in order to...
Yeah, but once again, if...
They're spotting. Emil's up.
If Wallhack spots anything, they're in a position where they can quickly pull forward and have 2 guns with full clips each onto whatever Wallhack ends up spotting. Even if he goes down, they're going to pump out a lot of damage.
Exactly. So now it's just a waiting game. We're going to see what 07 goes for, see what Apex is willing to do. Apex is on defense, to remind you, and they do have the opportunity, let's say, to just wait it out. 5 minutes about left, 4 minutes and 50 to be precise. And they're spotted. We have... I think that was lead up, was it not? For just a moment? No, just the email is spotted now from Warbander. He's over in the middle of the map, who you should currently see on screen. And he is lit. 07.
07 aren't out of this yet, but they need to be very careful about how they approach this. They need to find an isolation on 1 or 2 tanks that they can win and where they can still generate an overmatch. Finding wall hacks and getting him down quickly would be useful, but as we see Brett just sitting here in a bush in a position to cover him, so I don't know that they can safely do that.
You know what I want to actually focus on right now? Something I noticed out of God Emperor Brett. You saw how a moment ago he was waving his camera around quite wildly? That's what you do when you're waiting around. It seems really weird, it seems really boring, but if you're trying to figure out what your opponent's doing, you're looking for trees to get knocked down. And you can't do that when you're just watching a static position. You're going to need to kind of shift around and go, okay, I'm watching angles. I know that I have a limit on my third-person view, but okay, actually focus now on the email too. Warbander moving forward, going after wall hacks. Is he going to get close enough to spot wall hacks is the question. He is not. Wall hacks is going to be safe and sound, which means aside from maybe a little bush cover for Warbander, he's going to have shots on his back, and also he's going to be able to just keep him permanently spotted, which is a huge advantage, because Warbander is going to have to keep popping up. Shots fired. He takes 436. Ox Mathis should follow it up. There's one more, and if he can't get the kill shot...
There it goes.
Looks like he's not going to have to. Wallhacks gets to keep his passive position.
And that just made things considerably harder for 07 if things weren't already hard enough. Just the 2 bat chats left alive on the 2 line.
It's possible. In my mind,
possible,
2 bat chats,
but improbable.
Exactly is the point. But if Apex gets too aggressive, yeah, that's where this falls apart. But 07 shouldn't be able to win this. Apex should be able to come out ahead. The numbers are in their favor. And based on the layout right now, based on the positioning of Swipple and, of course, of Ledif, Ledif should be going down shortly. Swipple can cover all he wants. 762 into External. Second shell goes out. Not quite a kill. 201. External's still alive. And there, you lost Ledif. So it's just not enough.
Good stuff there out of Apex. Just grouping up, finding the isolation on 1, and just going for it. They just made sure that he wasn't going to be able to be effective any longer and get any more damage off. And now they can do the same thing against Swipple. They have plenty of HP. They have plenty of damage left in their clips to come in here and just chase him down. Brett's actually going to miss a shot. Shouldn't be a problem, though. It's another one, and one last shot is going to kill him off from External. And that's going to make the series 1-0 in favor of Apex.
All right, good start. Expected from Apex to start off strong. Not as strong as I would have expected, but this is 07 after all. This is a team which made it to our finals last season for that $325,000 prize pool. And
they also went to the Challengers Rumble in New York and played against Cosna Crew and Ding. So, they're experienced team. They've played against European teams. So,
let's talk about this fight that we saw at the beginning. Opening move. Apex puts an IS-7 in the traditional position. 07 holds back 3 bat chats, wants to spring all over that, take down the IS-7 immediately, get a strong lead. Doesn't work. The IS-7 moves to the middle of the map right in time. The bat chats move on over, and they're completely exposed. They take too much damage, and 07 doesn't have the lead they were looking for. The element of surprise turned against them. Apex predicted the move.
Essentially, yeah. They had the crossfire. They had Canadian Impact over at A2 along with the Doma. They had a bunch of bat chats sitting up at A6, and it was just Nids down in the low ground. And so when they spotted the bat chat push coming over, outside of Nids just having to back away a little bit, the rest of the guns were ready to punish them. And to kill Nits in the low ground, they themselves had to push into the low ground, and they just pushed themselves right into the crossfire. So sure, they get out Nits into I-7, but they bled so much HP in the process.
Yes, they did. Now, looking at the damage external, 4,450. 3 kills on top of that. He leads the scoreboard. Wall hacks at the end, the RU251, and you can see that the second page is dominated by 07. They just didn't put out the damage. Apex did.
Yep, absolutely. So, looking at it, once again, it's going to be a 1-0 scoreline. That is going to be Apex picking up the win on defense, which is something we're used to seeing tonight if you haven't already gathered.
Yeah.
So, now we'll have to see if Apex can break the trend that we've seen tonight and win the game on offense.
Yeah.
You think they can do it?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some offense wins here. 07's a team I expect to at least pick up a win in offense. Apex as well. It's their caller's wall hacks, dude. It's wall hacks. Wall hacks is this loud, angry, intense, in-your-face caller who does not enjoy sitting about.
Yep. Well, that's what I was about to say. If there's one thing that I know Wallhacks doesn't enjoy, that's just sitting around. He likes to be a team that's very proactive, and it's kind of been interesting seeing them so far this season on Apex, where he has no problem just slowing down. We're in a good position. Let's just sit here. And that's what happened in that game. They got to their opening positions. They knew they had the crossfires and what to do. 07 drove into it, and they just said, all right, just kill things now. I mean, there is no calling. It's just, all right, they're there. Kill them.
We're supposed to be good at brawling. Everyone knows how to call targets. Everyone knows how to say they have the kill shot. Everyone knows how to call focus and what to do. Everyone's communicating. I'm reloading. I'm out. Missed. Fox. Fox is one word that people use to call out that they got a kill. It's actually a term from that actually it's a name. What is it, an Air Force or pilot's term? That's excuse my poor lingo for anything not tanks. I don't know planes as well as I know tanks.
Yeah, me either, unfortunately.
But the guys Fnatic in the past, or Fulcrum as it were, they used to use Fox, and that would confuse a lot of people who were newer to the team because they'd be like, why is everyone yelling about this small mammal? Why is everyone yelling about a mammal? I don't get it. And you realize eventually Fox is just a really, really easy way, because Foxtrot, think about the phonetic alphabet, usually calling something out in that area is going to be just understood, because you don't mishear Fox.
Yep. One thing I know a lot of teams also use when calling out targets is when it takes down to a one shot to make sure people don't waste the shot. Yeah. They'll say kill, and then now what often happens sometimes is that person that calls kill shot misses or bounces or blows a little bit roller than he thought he would.
Yeah.
And so what a lot of teams do is they have a second person say secondary, and so that's first, secondary. Everyone else is all right. We're moving on to the next target, and if those two make a mistake, that's on them. That's one, and then a default in case something goes wrong. But if a second thing goes wrong, you're up a creek you don't want to be in.
Yeah, I actually remember throwing back to way back when I used to call, which is years ago now. One thing I did when we were training up new guys is we would take newer teams and we'd put them together with people of about equal experience and give them slightly more experienced people in charge. And what they actually started doing was going first, second, third, fourth, and everyone just called out what if they were first, second, third, or fourth to get the kill. Right when they started focusing too. So you'd call like focus Rockstar, and someone would call first, and their job until that tank died was to be the guy who got the kill shot based on the tempo, because we laid out the groups so that you should get the kill about the time.
And that's planning at a fairly intense level as well.
Yeah,
that's something that you really have to practice and be into the habit of doing. It's not something that you can just show up and just do immediately.
Yeah, and people don't do that at this level. They learned that years ago. These players know all about what they need to do in order to get what they need to get done, because like at this point you should know that should be like ingrained in your brain.
Yep. Well, we have the lineups here for our second battle. 07 bringing an IS-7, 4 Bat Chats, and 2 Emil 2s. Once again, opting for the Emil 2s. Meanwhile, Apex coming in here with an IS-7, 4 Bat Chats, a Grill, and an RU-251.
All right, we'll have to see how the opening moves go. As it looks like Emil's going towards the mid, RU-251 from Wallhacks, going right up for his opening scout run. He's probably going to scout those Emils and get the spots. Will he? Looks like no spotting. Wallhacks got nothing.
Well, actually, it's going to be 07 running a very similar setup to what Apex just did. They have one batch out at A6. They're using their 2 Emil 2s as the heavies in the low ground along the E line, just sitting there in the middle, E4, E6. And then they have their IS-7 actually playing the hold down over at B1 along with their Bat Chats. And at this point, they don't really know that there's nothing in front of them, but they're ready for a push down the one line if it was to come.
Yeah, it's a strong play. What you're going to do is you're going to take control of the Northeast, take that away from your opponent, because you don't want to give the 07 the ability to just put tanks over in the Northeast. That would be horrible. You're going to take control, see what you can do with it. What Apex will do following this play, because because they don't have any resistance, because nothing's there, they're going to probably throw 2, maybe 3 bat jets on the cap, and then try to hold off their opponent as they try to get in position. Now, there is one tank finally spotted. That's Andy Pans. But was that by Wallhacks? Wallhacks didn't appear to be spotted in return, so that's important for Apex. Good lead for them. They will finally find the emails.
Yeah, those Emil 2s are going to be very crucial with the way how 07 want to play this, just because they're going to be the tanks that are going to be relied upon to get those resets. They have the 12 degrees of gun depression, so they can poke up and over those train tracks relatively safely and get the resets. The thing is, it's going to be a teammate that has to get the lights.
Yeah, have you seen whether or not they can just haul down straight at the cap?
There are different angles. Well, let's put it this way. There are certain angles that previously STBs and Centurion Action X's could play because they had enough gun depression, and those had 8 degrees of gun depression. The problem was their turrets were a bit softer. You put an Emil 2 or a Kronwagen in that position where it has greater gun depression and better turret armor, it's not going to do anything to it.
Exactly. Okay, that's a well-made point, sir. Thank you. If you have 8 degrees of gun depression, if a tank has more, you're
going to be fine. And with the 8 degrees of gun depression, it was still iffy. You had to be in the exact position. The Kronwagen makes it, or in this case, the Emil 2 makes it slightly easier. The only thing is they normally cannot light for themselves, so you have to have a second tank in position to get the lighting up along the train tracks. Normally they'd use a bat shot or a light tank, or even an IS-7 can work if you put them in the right spot.
Now this is curious. I saw Wallhacks on the cap was previously hiding in a bush so that no one could really fire on him. Nice shot there.
Team damage?
No, I don't think so.
I'm relatively certain that was Commodore pulling in front of the Emil 2 that took that shot there. I don't believe anyone from Apex actually fired a shot.
I'll check him out, see if I can find where the shell penetrated. Maybe see what's going on there. But no, I don't see it either.
It's one shot down for Fosta. So Fosta's fired one. He was the one next to Commodore. So I'm pretty sure that was team damage.
Oh no. He simped the shot. Commodore also going a little too high up into Dome, actually sinking a shot into his track. So that's another possibility. But with the Doma firing, I think I'll check on him maybe twice.
I will say this: anyone that has Dodoma picked on Fantasy is cringing right now with Dodoma being isolated like this.
Oh, Commodore gets ripped up. He's getting too aggressive in his IS-7. He's exposing his front tracks, which really isn't what you want to do in an IS-7, but I guess maybe necessary at this point.
Well, the resets did come in, though, so they have plenty of time. It's just they've bled so much HP on Commodore that Apex could theoretically at this point push with 1,000 HP lead.
So here's what I'm predicting. I expect Dodoma, look at his position. He's quite exposed, a bit alone, you could say. If he were the tank to be attacked by 07, if 07 decided to up and over, just attack that bat chat, they could take him out pretty quickly. He's only got 3 shells left. And ideally, you'd want to find out if he's on reload, go up and over, get the kill. You'll take some damage, but as far as which direction or what part of the map to cross the tracks on to attack and, well, I guess defend your base, I'd pick the north in this case. Going across the mid looks like a suicide run.
Well, especially with the way Apex are set up. Look at how many guns could very easily have shots in the mid. Even Canadian Impact, all the way up at A0 in that S-Tank, could very easily shoot down there.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Now, Dodoma's actually going to go on reload. He's about 5 seconds left, so any window that 07 was hoping for looks like it's slowly going away. And that should mean that, that looks like Foster's taking shells in his turret.
And they actually finish off Wallhacks. Andy Pans peaks at the same time. Dodoma had been sitting there staring off with Andy Pans for so long that I think he was caught sleeping a little bit. And so when he got focused on Fosta poking over to get the reset, Andy Pans just got away with it for free.
Yeah, and now we're going to listen into Apex. Looks like they're getting ready for their counter move or to have to hold the cap. Let's see what they have to say.
No. Actually, you got to stay here because you got to cover.
So we want one bat go south?
Yeah, one back all the way south. These two, you got to
holding three. Holding three for now.
All the way back.
I'm going.
Who got lit? You guys can't get one back south.
I'm not lit.
I'm gonna clip all these guys.
Guys have to push the middle.
Nits go mid.
Push the middle, like how? Just clip this guy and run south?
No, come up towards the middle. The houses is still up, right?
I got lit south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just
Oh,
you
shit, they're
just
gonna
kill
push.
whatever's on the 6 line.
There's a bat cell.
Okay, help him
We
with
can
that
clip him,
bet.
we
Help
can
him with
clip
that bet. Get ready to aggress middle.
Fuck, I had
Box,
AT
hold on,
loaded.
box.
I had AT loaded. Email was just
Kill
clipping.
Warbandit. Kill Warbandit.
Okay.
I have 3.
Can you?
External. No, I can't.
Kill Foster.
I have to clip.
I can't necessarily pull over.
Find
Boston.
that other bat.
I'm
No,
clipping.
no. Max, you're by yourself right now.
Careful, Dodo.
As long as we can win the other side of the map, I'm fine up here.
We didn't win the other side of the map.
Then I need to go down there and help.
We need to kill the 6 line right now. Use the houses
I'm clipping.
together on the next
Alright.
clip.
Yeah, this
I
bat
still
shot
have
like
3.
times.
Right.
So I have
Maybe we
three
want to
now.
move you up. I don't know.
Guys, can we do that like right now?
Swipple's running
Do
away.
you want-
Yeah.
want
What's
the
your
girl
clip?
coming
External?
now?
Clip, what's
I'm
the
10.
clip?
Red 10. Alright, let's
Do
go.
it now.
I think we need to have Brett move up.
Me and
Kill
external
6
committing
line
right now.
altogether.
Over.
Wait.
Yeah, Brett, you might need to move up if they don't.
Yeah, I'm
follow
coming. I'm coming. I just don't want them
Box.
spawning before I get there.
you. 6 line, 6 line.
Need this turn.
You need to kill the
I'm
ice
reloading.
too, and
I don't have a
make
good
those
shot
in
on
the
him.
open. Get out of the open if you're reloading.
Nothing hit.
Why didn't you poke over when we were shooting?
Who, me?
Who?
No, never mind.
Tom at me.
And this one's going to be slipping through Apex's fingers, I think.
Yeah, that seemed that was unfortunate. They didn't move Brett up in time. I think I heard the call for that. Brett needed to move up. If he'd been in the fight a little bit sooner, I think that would have changed things.
Well, the call...
But Dodoma, nice kills right there. He's able to pick up 2, and that's going to be it. Apex in the lead. Swipple, full health, yes, but Commodore is incredibly low. So
To get back to the point, though,
yeah,
if you listen to the exact verbiage that Wallhacks said, he said, Brett, you may need to move up if they don't push. So it sounds like the plan was for him to sit back there, and their counter push to a mid push was going to be to dump over onto Dodoma.
that's too many layers, though. That's too many layers. You're putting a lot on Brett but instead you should have said, Brett, I need you moving now, or I need you not moving now, because
my
if
point
you
is
give
let's not fault Brett for not moving up when the decision was made for him.
Oh, okay. Let me clarify. Yeah, I meant to say that Brett should have been told to move up.
Yeah,
Brett
his tank should have been moved up. I agree.
Yeah, okay. I see where it's coming. It's a bit of a phrasing there.
Yeah.
It's important to worry about that. Yeah. But altogether, Swipple does have a chance actually in this. I'll make that note here, that because Dodoma is spotted, if Swipple, if he were to get actually a on the move kill, just going full speed in a bat chat, that would have been amazing. All he has to do is get one shell into Dodo, and that should be it. But they do know where he is. 07 should not be able to walk away with this. It should be a win for...
Well, they only have a minute left to get this kill, and if Swipple can find Dodoma, he has a way to run, because he can outrun the grill.
Oh, and the position he's chosen is actually excellent. So Dodoma will have to go up and over the hill. However, because of the Batchat's gun depression, he's going to have some trouble getting a shot on target for Swipple. And Swipple, knowing that Dodoma is so low and that only Dodoma can go over the hill, is going to try to take advantage of that.
He might have just
He's
stuck out too
spotted!
far.
He got spotted. 7:58. Now
And here comes Dodo. Dodo over the top. He knows that the turret's turned.
perfect
But
timing.
Swipple doesn't even see him.
And he's not even looking. Right as Swipple is focused on the grill, there comes the Batchat, and that's Apex. Perfect teamwork between those two players.
Yep, good coordination there at the end. Coordination earlier in the round lacking a little bit, but they managed to get it done. So good stuff there. And let me just say, if you have Dodoma on your fantasy team, or Ox for that matter, you're going to be sitting good this round.
Yes, I picked him. I picked both Ox and Dodo. So
Impact, unfortunately, for those that have him, not able to be a real factor this game either. So sorry.
Well, you're just trying right now to let me down.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Look, Canadian Impact, he's going to show up and blow up.
Which he did in week 1 and week 2, and I paid the price for it.
And the thing is, he did exactly what he was told. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and it just happened to be something that got him killed.
Like this, like two Batchats sitting here staring at him in the open field with full clips where he stands no chance.
Precisely, just like that. He was told to go up and over. Personally, I feel like that's a bit of an aggressive way to go up and over, because your escape, if you're spotted, as exampled right there, you don't exactly come out ahead. But this from Apex.
It looks like he was second guessing himself. It looks like he didn't know where they were.
This was the mistake. That was the mistake. When he peeked out like that, the timing was such that he got spotted. If he hadn't taken that damage, the chances were he might have been able to stop Dodo coming up and over the hill if he'd predicted that.
Yeah. I'm just not sure why he even bothered firing at that grill to begin with. I mean, I guess if you're spotted and you took the shot, you might as well. But he needed the thing he had to worry about there was killing Dodoma.
I think he might have been banking that Dodoma was too far away, or that waiting wasn't worth it. He needed to get the grill kill no matter what.
Yep.
But there you go. Dodoma, Oxmathis, God Emperor Brett, 3 players that we've talked about previously, top damage dealers. No questions there about them. Wallhacks falling to the bottom with Canadian Impact and Nits. Some of the Apex players, I felt, weren't used to their maximum capabilities in that battle. They were... you could kind of hear what Comps was talking about with people getting used to each other in the pre-game interview.
Yep, some coordination issues there, making sure that they were on the same page. You could hear the discussion about what do you mean, just trying to clarify things. And, once you've played together for a while and you've been in every situation, the caller just has to say, make this play, and all the players will know what they're supposed to be doing. But, still adjusting to wall hacks, in his calling style, just trying to figure out what they need to do.
Yeah, so we'll see what they're able to come up with as we are going to be moving on to Cliff. Cliff, to start, looks like we're going to have Apex defending. So to start this one off, chances are Apex is going to be able to put another one on the board, making it even more difficult and scary for 07. And this could quickly turn into a 5-0 because after Cliff, Ghost Town.
Yep, and Ghost Town was a map that 07 have struggled with. They've played it a lot so far this season, but they haven't actually really won anything. Even Valence beat them on it 2-0. So it's definitely something to worry about if they can't get some rounds on Cliff.
Yeah, and after Proc was a map that, by the way, I'll remind us, was expected to be a strong play from 07. 07 is supposed to perform on Proc. They're supposed to at least pick up one win. And because they didn't, that worries me about what they brought to today's game. Did 07 really show up with the roster, the team that we needed, that we expected for them to bring it to Apex?
Well, let's see if 07 can show up on our second map of the night.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
Lineups coming in here at 07, 6 bat chats and a T54 lightweight. Meanwhile, Apex coming in there with 4 bat chats of their own, a TVP, an STRV 103, and wall hacks in the M4043.
All right, that's turtle strat right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got an S-Tank, you got an artillery. Once again, I've said before, if you bring the S-Tank, you might as well bring the artillery because you ain't moving with the S-Tank to begin with.
Exactly. So wall hacked, hanging out in the back. God Emperor Brett, hanging out way in the back. But with all of these bat chats, the one thing that Apex is going to have to absolutely be sure of, and I'm talking about absolutely be sure, they can't do the thing that I've seen before where a team will say, okay, we've got this solid defensive tanks, let's put them here in the back covering everybody, and this one covering everybody. And then let's decide, oh no, Fosta, okay, on this opening scout run, tries to hold on, and he does. And then decide to actually take all of the other tanks, their bat chats, their TVP, and put them in positions that those tanks can't support. If I see a fight happening with Apex somewhere where we can't see either wall hacks or God Emperor Brett coming in support, I'm going to be disappointed because that's going to be, I think, a misuse of those tanks.
Yeah, well, we talked about it a lot last season. Teams on Cliff went with very passive defenses where they didn't rotate a lot. They sat in one position. And we saw the attacking teams win a lot last season on Cliff just because when you sit in those passive spots, all it takes is getting a little bit of intel, figuring out where the tanks are, and just coming up with a play. And if they don't change it up, even halfway through your attack, they're going to just get focus fired out. They're going to get shut down, and the game's over.
And there we go. Blind shot by Artie onto Fosta. Fosta looks like he gets spotted. And shot for 380 from the mid. Fosta's going to need to get out of here. This is a dangerous position, but he's playing it well, using the sharp angles of his T-54 lightweight to create an auto bounce angle. If you're angled enough, shells bounce off you like a stone skipping on water, right? It can't penetrate because it just doesn't happen. Now, we're looking at the artillery view of wall hacks as he's zeroing, about to get reloaded, or is reloaded, I should say. And he just wants to see a tank spotted before he fires. see if that's going to happen, or if it's not going to happen. But he's actually going to change up his view. He's going and looking very, very far back in the map.
Yeah, there's a climb up there where tanks can sit and shoot towards the donut and the one line, and so he's just making sure there's no one up there. And there actually is a batch at G1, so it's not a bad guess, but not the exact location.
So
here's what happened. The batch chat for Apex peaked that 2-line corner. He got spotted, and he pulled forward. By process of elimination, they said the batch chat's probably here or here. They went with the more common spot, which is up on the high ground where Wallhacks was just aiming.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. So, not going to happen this time, though. We do have... This is going to be pretty... Oh, now we've got the move. This is the move. We have batch chats moving from 07 up the west side. They're going to take the 1-2 line, as we call it, and they will be in a lower ground. So their opponent's going to have the high ground advantage on them, and that's going to be something to watch out for. Make sure you don't get too aggressive. Don't expose Swipple, Ladif, and major issues too much. They will start taking a lot of damage. The advantages in this is that artillery is going to have less of an effect. Wallhacks is going to have trouble putting shots.
He can still put shots down towards the 3-line on the high ground at the donut there, but the problem is when he fires, he'll get lit by the batch chats that are nice and close to him.
Yeah, exactly. And he won't be able to fire at the batch chats on the low ground quite so easily. And so they'll be able to focus out tanks like Nitz, as you're seeing right now. Swipple firing at him, but no spotting. Problem here is, yeah, you've got plenty of targets. You just don't have any vision. You don't know where they actually are, so you can't engage them.
Yeah, and that's just from the change of bringing the artillery. That's the one downside. Well, I am a proponent of bringing artillery in this case.
Yeah.
The batch chats are not positioned in a place where they can get constant eyes, as opposed to maybe an RU-251 or T-54 lightweight if they brought that instead.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword, because you bring the lightweight, you're going to spot, you're going to know where they are, but you're not going to have that artillery that can reach out and hit them anywhere.
Yeah. So also pay attention to 07's positions and how delicate this is. You're going to see Apex, if they get a good read on this, if they get the intel that they need, if they get the spotting, they're going to probably want to focus on Mako's Warbander and Andy Pence. Wouldn't you say? 3 tanks in the high ground. It's harder for 07 to take tanks from the low ground to the high ground than it is for them to take those high ground to the low ground.
The problem is it's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard for Apex to group up tanks at this point. They're down 1,500 HP. They have an artillery and they have an S tank, which, once again, if you're going to go for a camp, then by all means, bring camping tanks. But the problem is that if you are going to go for that, it makes it very hard to be reactive, which is what I feel they need to be doing. And so in this case, that S tank basically has to stay stationary. He can't really move. The artillery can't really contribute to anything outside of just big shots if he can land them. Big if there.
But artillery is a force multiplier. Yep. He can fire at one flank or he can fire at the other. Yep. And he can do that much easier than some tanks can simply move from one area to the other.
Major Issues actually goes in and makes sure that they take down Nitz, which is what I was about to say. Is that's the other thing, is Nitz stuck on the low ground. So that's 3 tanks of 7 that cannot move for Apex. And so, in theory, they could have gotten an overmatch on these tanks on the high ground. At this point, the best it can really be is a 4-on-3 with a T-54 lightweight, making it 4-4 from distance. So,
yeah.
And not the greatest position for Apex right now.
Yeah, and Apex is also giving ground. The S-Tank that we were talking about before, he's actually going to be... Well, I'll back off of it. Real quick, God Emperor Brett is actually shifting to cover the west, while every other tank from Apex looks like they're just climbing onto the hill and waiting around. Like, all of the batch jets are on the hill. They're just climbing around.
They actually should have shots, I believe, on the cap, but just out of render range. So they should, as long as things are spotted, be able to pretty effectively blind fire it.
Yeah, they should be able to make that work. And even if it doesn't, then they can get into range. The S-Tank is there to cover them. Yep. It shouldn't be hard for them to defend cap.
Yep. And just to clarify what I just said, in case I confuse anyone.
Yeah.
So if things are lit, then it's not necessarily blind fire if they're within render range. However, here's the point, is if they're out of render range, if they're spotted, well, they can't actually see them. They can see them on their minimap. They can line up the arrow on their minimap, and they can kind of figure out where they're sitting and be pretty effective if you practice at it enough.
Yeah, but they're not actually being drawn. Your computer doesn't draw tanks at a certain distance.
You just see on your minimap where they should be. You aim your crosshair in that general area, and you start firing shots. And normally you can get some resets that way.
Yeah, and we'll see how that ends up panning out. We do have finally the decisive move from 07. This is what they've done up to this point. They've beaten their opponent down a little bit. They've done some considerable amount of damage in hit points. 1 kill is crucial. The TBP, I think, is an important tank to note. You've gotten rid of a very fast reloading autoloader. And now you're going to get into the high ground and move around for what is probably one of the most typical attacks from the west that you're going to see.
And the attack's going to come out now. There's going to be 3 full health bats making the play through the middle to absorb the shots, and the 2 low HP sitting in the back for cover fire.
Yep, covering your opponents. This is just very normal for everyone that's used to seeing military-style games or is familiar with the tactics. You're bounding. You send a few guys forward and you cover them. And you're seeing the damage being dealt right now. Apex is not holding up. They're down to 4,300 hit points against the 7,002 of 07. And this is something we talked about early on. We are not seeing the support from the S-Tank or the artillery that we needed to see. And that's actually credit to 07 for choosing to engage in positions where they know the S-Tank is not going to be able to support. Now it's up to Apex to pull back, get their tanks into a position where, yes, that S-Tank can support. And that's where they may come back. But Dodoma, well, he just doesn't get out in time.
He got focused down by Warbandor and Andypans. Andypans actually even missed his opening shot onto Dodoma there. But one thing I want to point out is when 07 started that push, they only had a 999 HP lead, so just under 1,000. And they managed to turn that into almost a 3,000 HP lead.
And look at this. I'm watching the POV right now of God Emperor Brett, who moved out of the high ground in his S-Tank, and he's regretting it almost immediately. He's trying to find a target, and it's just so difficult because you're missing out on these tiny angles that the S-Tank really needs in order to get its shots on target, because it's a very low-profile tank. And he is actually getting the damage out. You can see how quickly that reload is helping him out. Nice shot on Dandy Pants. And he is the last tank alive, to know.
Yeah, well, you can actually see Ledif trying to scale the wall next to him just to get up close enough to light him for the rest of his team. Once they can get him spotted, it shouldn't be a problem to kill him.
Yeah, and wow, the S-Tank really... I love how God Emperor Brett's driving himself backwards, actually. He's managing to do all
Trying to keep his frontal armor towards the rest
not gonna be
of
enough.
07, but it's not going to be enough, like you said, at the end of the day. And that's going to make it 2-1, still in favor of Apex, but 07 showing that they still have some signs of life.
Yeah, Apex did not play that aggressively enough, I think. They had an S-Tank and they had an artillery. They should have done more to get spotting and get control. Make it so their opponent has to slow down, and so you could keep actually dealing damage. What happened is they had the entire battle dictated to them. 07 said, we're going to attack on the west. We're going to focus that TVP. We're going to take down that TVP.
Yep.
Apex had to say, oh, you're going after my TVP. Okay, we're going to do something about that.
Yep.
Oh, you're taking the west side. We're going to have to do something about that. They never said, this is what we're going to do, and decided that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
They had everything told to them, and they had to figure out an answer.
They were caught flat-footed, essentially.
Yeah, I like to think of it as kind of a question-answer. When you do something in a battle, I kind of consider it as like the question. I'm going to scout the middle of the map. What are you going to do about it?
Who's going to ask the first question is at the end of the day. And in this case, it was 07. And the thing is when you set up like Apex just did,
yes,
they essentially what they do is they say, all right, this is what we're going to do, and they just out there. There was no attempt to really flex too many tanks. Not anything that really changed the shape of that battle. It was just a few little minor positions, but for the most part, it was the same static positions. And what happens when you do that is you give 07, you're saying you have 10 minutes to find a way to break this, and that is a lot of time in this game.
It's like a game of Battleship. If you keep hunting around, you get your clues, and there we go.
We know your battleship is in A6, so let's get them sunk.
Oh, I know this configuration. You're putting him over here, so usually you put these things in these proximities around this, and this is the strategy. You know, it's like you put one and one together, and eventually you just figure it out. Context clues.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So we are going to be getting underway with our fourth battle here in a second. So do you think that 07, now defending, can tie this up 2-2?
Possibly, but I think that Apex does better on attack right now. I'm going to kind of point at wall hacks for this one. He's known for his aggression. He doesn't like to slow things down, and I feel like he doesn't handle that quite as well. So we'll have to see in battle number 2.
Lineups coming in here. Nothing too mind-blowing out of either team. In fact, very similar lineups to the ones we just saw. 07 coming in here with 5 Bat Chats, a TVP, and a T-54 lightweight. Meanwhile, Apex coming in with 6 Bat Chats of their own and a M4043 once again.
We'll have to see how that goes. Now, I'm going to focus on the wall hacks one more time in this M4043. See what he's going to go for, as you're going to see the the mob on the mini map there of Bat Chats moving around. They're
is this going to be an up and over from Apex?
It looks like a split, actually. So God Emperor Brett going into the backfield will be in a cover fire position, sniping in a Bat Chat. I know it's
We saw this out of them last match day, actually. What they end up doing is they leave just this one Batchat at J5 that can cover the backfield and artillery, and then they push around and get pressure over on the 8-9 line. And what ends up happening is, as teams respond to that 2-cap play, the artillery then in turn has better shots on the rest of their tanks, onto the back of Batchats. And we very well know what happens if an artillery connects an HE shell into the back engine deck of a Batchat.
I think we might find out in a moment. And that's
just a little bit short.
A little over, I think, right? Yeah, it's hard to hit a Batchat on the backside of the middle hill there. It's it's also a Batchat. It's incredibly low. The mound right in front of that Batchat is just high enough. Even though it's an M40-43, there's a better chance that you're going to miss.
Yeah, and what this artillery does for Apex is if you look at the corners that their 07 are sitting in right now, if they try to poke out to get the resets towards Apex, say they peak E2 or E3 or the south end there at F3 or even on the backside of the hill in the middle of the map, they're going to be relatively safe or in cover from the other Batchats of Apex. But then all of a sudden Wallhacks is like, hey guys, I can shoot at your back. So it puts them in a really weird crossfire where you just have to constantly remember that you're not already safe. And there really isn't any way for them to be safe from the artillery unless they want to push into the other guns.
Yeah, and let's see if Wallhacks is going to be able to sink a shell. It goes for it, and it goes
way short.
That's the unfortunate part about an American arty. Also about not zeroing your shell quite all the way. But he knew his time was
he knew he had a short window, and he took the risk. And so often through the last season, we've seen that risk pay off in spades for some of these teams.
Yeah, sometimes it's just worth it. If you're not going to fire for an entire reload, might as well just fire, right?
Yep.
Just let a shell
looking
go.
Looking at you, Chase Potato, right now.
Shoutouts. Well, Apex, we're going to have to see what they're going for. See if they're going to be able to make this attack work. It's a curious way to go about the map. You're depending on arty spotting, getting some control, but...
Oh, is he going to land that shot?
Just short.
Oh, no. RNG just not working for him right now.
It's really not. So he wants to get the damage. We saw 4 last battle from Wallhacks, just not able to perform like he needed to in an artillery piece. And I got to give it to 07. They're giving Apex every single opportunity to get a little bit of a lead here. And we'll see. We'll see what they go for, because now I actually notice on the southeast, you see 2 Batchats pulling back. That could be. It's
going to be Nitz and Dodoma rotating out of the backfield. Actually,
there's no way you're going west side, right? You're not going to go for.
Well, see, the thing is it would make sense if they could do it unspotted. But look at the positioning out of Fosta. He's sitting in that bush at G3, so they can't rotate through the backfield without being spotted. If they get spotted down there, I don't see any reason why 07 wouldn't just group up all their tanks and just converge on what's left on the high ground.
Look at this. Fosta's got spotting on Dodoma. Dodoma's going to now be getting, I'll show you this, getting into the low ground. He's going to do what we call proxy spotting, and he'll even try and ramp on up, surf on up there. He spots Fosta because he gets within 50 meters. It doesn't matter if there's a giant rock between the two of you, but you're 50 meters away, so there should be an artillery shell.
Yep, and Canadian Impact left shots. This is a great process of elimination on how to get this lightweight out. You either leave him for artillery, or you let the Batchats take care of him. Does not leave Fosta with any safe place to go.
And
down he goes.
That's it. Okay, so the scout's out. You've got Fosta down. Now you don't have to worry about the risk of a T-54 lightweight scurrying around and being annoying for you. Your artillery piece is now able to feel a little safer, feel a little bit more secure.
I just want to point out, if you guys remember, just a few minutes ago we were talking about why passive defenses are a bad thing and why the other teams typically can, with enough time, can break them down and find picks on things, and they just don't work. That's exactly why. Just that one little play. They took their time. They rotated around. Hey, we found Fosta. Hey, no one can support Fosta. Hey, we can watch every single angle he can leave at. Can someone kill him? Yeah, let me open up this angle, Canadian Impact said. He started shooting at him. Then Fosta said, I have nowhere to go. I'm dead. He didn't even try to leave. He just said, this is over. And he just got focused out, and that's...
It's over. That's it. It's. He didn't move out of a position that he was spotted in minutes ago.
Let me just put it this way. That one move may have just lost 07 this game.
Maybe. But
that one tank going down.
It depends if Apex is actually going to make their decisive move, because on Cliff, this is a big enough map that with a mobile lineup like we see out of the defending Team 07, they can just run away. All of these Batchats, they can just spread out and just waste time later and later this gets.
Crossfire that they're about to have.
And so, Crossfire, talk to me. What are you seeing here? So,
yeah, well, if you look at it, they're grouping up and they're making this play towards the 2 line right now, but they've left these 2 bat chats on top of the hill. So the bat chats can push around here, they can get up, and they can get into a brawl with these tanks right in here. And the thing is,
up on the high ground.
So that their play is going to be to back off because they're outnumbered. So they're going to come this way. All of a sudden, they still have 2 bat chats up here ready to shoot down this way, and that's going to leave those 3 in a very vulnerable situation. And these 2 bats aren't going to be able to put enough pressure onto Apex quickly enough.
All right, well, let's get back into it because we do see the action. You were talking about that west side on the high ground. Shots fired. Mako's going down by 13-27. Major Issues forced to run away. Got Emperor Brett and Nitz moving around on the south side of the E4 hill.
They're actually going to go with the opposite Crossfire that I was talking about. They're going to drop around to the inside and try to find the 2 bat chats on the back of the hill.
Yeah, but Major Issues is right behind him. They could decide, let's go after him. Focus on Major Issues. It looks like shots fired into Major. One more is going to finish him off. That's Nitz. And keep moving forward. Keep moving. Do not stop. Do not get held up. Your allies will cover you. And External on the high ground is going to start posturing up and pressuring out a few tanks. Lead going down as well, and it's over. 07 is just bleeding hit points all over the place. It's hard to just keep up.
It's the thing that is the most frustrating about watching this is we just watched literally 10 minutes ago 07 do the same thing to Apex, almost the exact same move to a certain extent.
Yeah,
the same play, and they let it happen to them after just orchestrating such a beautiful attack on the previous round. It's so frustrating to watch out of some of these teams.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. Sometimes you just get into a weird tempo. Sometimes you're not quite on the game. You don't feel like you have a decisive, a clear direction, I should say. Not decisive. I should say clear direction.
It's like saying, hey guys, we just broke your turtle. We showed you how to break it.
Yep.
Now we're going to run it.
Yeah. Great idea. Let's run the same strat.
And it's not a knock on 07. Teams have been doing this all last season, and we actually, to be fair, we haven't seen it too much this season. But it was a theme we saw a lot last season.
The defensive play on Cliff has been the defensive play on Cliff for all of time. You get me? Like there hasn't been a time where the northeast side of the map, taking the backside of the hill, I should say the Lighthouse Hill, and just splitting the map in half hasn't been the main strategy. It's always been that. You always go for that strategy, and most of the time it plays out. It's just gotten easier and easier for attackers because they've started figuring out how to actually attack. And I have to give them credit to our defender as well. Fosta actually playing an aggressive scout, something that, when you are the defender and you have the ability to take some advantage and posture up, yes, it works. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and
there just needs to be more follow-up.
Look at this crossfire I was talking about. You have Ox over there towards the 3 line, then you have these bat shots across the top middle, and then the tanks up on top of the hill, just able to focus out Major Issues. And once again, it's just one by one by one, just watching the dominoes fall. You find one, you move on to the next. And it was just a great execution there out of Apex.
Yeah. And then Damage, Canadian Impact, leads the way. See? I don't doubt him. He will show up and blow up.
I hate to use the pun for a second time, but I guess I'm going to say he had an impact on that round.
Boo.
Meanwhile, Ox, Dodoma, everyone on Apex had a pretty solid round, even except for Wallhacks, who couldn't really get any major connections.
Wallhacks is the caller. I think we can easily write Wallhacks off as...
Except he's playing an artillery. If he was playing a light tank, I would agree, but coming out of this, out of an artillery piece, I'd expect to see a bit more damage.
Have you called and played artillery at the same time much?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to check before I went, because I used to play 261 sometimes when on non...
The thing to remember is when you're playing artillery and you're a caller, every time you fire, all of a sudden you have 40 seconds to sit there and make decisions. So you sit there, then all of a sudden you pull up your map, you're telling your guys what to do, click this. You can see everything from upside down. You just hold your right click so your cursor stays zoom in wherever you want to put the next shot. You look around, you can see everything. Some callers don't necessarily like it as much as others, but it's very doable, and I don't think it should really have that big an impact on how effective you can be with an artillery as opposed to how effective you are in a light tank.
I disagree. Oh, okay, maybe in difficulty as opposed to a light tank. Okay, maybe I can agree with that. But I want to actually make a point about it is actually quite difficult to play an artillery tank and to call. Because as an artillery player, to give respect to artillery players, the high skill ones, the guys that have just made shells connect that just are amazing, like they just don't deserve it practically. Like you don't think they do, but they make the hits. It is actually that difficult. There's a lot that goes into firing accurately and at the right time, predicting your opponent's move. If you're calling, your attention is split. You're focusing on what everyone on your team is doing, what they need to be doing in the next minute, and what everyone needs to be doing in the next 5 minutes.
But then you have to turn around and you have to say, well, if they're playing an artillery, they should have considerably more time than if they were playing, say, a light tank. They're driving around. They have to not only worry about aiming, they have to worry about driving where they are and not getting themselves killed. So I'd have to say that to a certain extent, especially on some of these maps, playing an artillery while calling is easier than playing a light tank or a batchat while you're calling. It's a difficult thing to do. So,
But are you saying it's not difficult? Are you saying that it should be easy to manage? Because I don't think we can
I would say
that.
it is the easiest form of calling if the map allows for it. Would be my opinion.
By merit of contrast.
Yep. Now, there are some players that can call while playing tanks. We see it all the time on some of these other things, especially 07, Zone Delta. Look at what tank he's playing. Actually not playing at all right now, because 07, Zone Delta's not on 07. He's over on Valence. I just had a little bit of a flashback there. Still not quite used to him jumping teams.
You'll get over it. It's okay, man. We
all
last
season saw him with the 07 logo, and this team doesn't come up here. But actually, it's going to be the point remains. You have Fosta down there in the tier 8. Ledef makes a lot of the side calls and flanks as well, and he's playing in tier 10. Looking at the lineups here in E100, 57, a 50B, 2 Kronwagens, a Batchat, and a UDIS coming out of 07. Meanwhile, Apex, 113, 2 50Bs, Kronwagen, a Batchat, and 2 WZ111s.
All right. Well, we do have, looks like a cap fast out of Apex. They're going to be moving 3 tanks onto the cap. Meantime, Fosta's going to be trying to get into the high ground.
And actually fail it. And one thing I just want to point out is Andy Pans actually just took his whole clip to clear the buildings for Fosta. So, we were talking about earlier about how you could use a Crusader SP on this map. He just showed us exactly how. You just get the 57 over there, fire one clip, clear all the buildings you need to, and drive away.
Yeah. And now we see the WZ-111s and 113 forcing Ledef and the Kronwagen back. And look at that. Well played. God Emperor Brett an external right behind him, knowing that he's going to back off.
And once again, Apex just playing these simple crossfires. They pushed across the north end of the cap. They knew they could shoot down across that. They brought 2 50Bs up, and they just took away that whole lower courtyard.
Yep. I'm liking the strat. This is a nice aggressive play from Apex, and they're going to be able to put the cap pressure on. They've got 3 tanks on cap. There's not a lot their opponent's going to be able to do. Brett's on the reload. He's going to be reloaded just in time, I think, to bring any support that's needed. And here we got the move. We have the counter play from Apex, and it should be a flank that comes in at perfect timing. And God Emperor Brett's just going to be able to farm damage.
And the cap's actually going to get capped out. That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's it? Is it it? We have to wait, because if tanks start dying, this battle keeps going.
It's over.
That's it.
It's done.
Okay. Wow.
Done.
Okay. Good job. There we go. Cap fast.
They pushed
didn't see a response.
They took the easy. The thing is that the one tank of Ledef that Apex killed, that's the one missing piece of that puzzle they need to guarantee their resets. With him down, that's the one extra angle that they needed to guarantee a reset on every angle. With him down and them taking that, now all of a sudden, 07 have no option but to push in. And to push in, it takes time, especially when you bring tanks like E100s and T57s. If you can predict what the other team's going to do and you can move ahead of time safely, T57s, E100s, great picks. The problem is, rotating around, trying to get across the map quickly, not their strong suit.
Yeah, and I really felt like 07 didn't give Apex enough credit. If you see where I'm going, they didn't see that this was an attack and respond as immediately as they should have.
Yep.
They thought this wasn't really going to be a cap fast. And when they finally had to move forward and do something about this, it was too late. They did get the damage in. It was too late. It was all done.
And anyone with a player in this game that has them on fantasy, I am so sorry, because even God Emperor Brett comes in at 2,500 damage, which is, well, not bad, not great. External 1,800, Canadian Impact 1,300, Ox 1,200.
Yeah, that
just fast caps tend to ruin damage.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. That's not good for my fantasy stats. Because I was depending on Dodoma to put up a lot more damage there. It's okay. He didn't do anything wrong. He played perfectly. Just it sucks for fantasy points.
Yep, Dodoma's just had he's been consistent tonight. He hasn't really stood out, had any one massive game, but early on in Proc he played pretty well.
Proc I did have a little bit of concerns. There wasn't anything bad, but it wasn't quite as good. You know what I'm saying? It's like I set the bar so high for Dodoma that if he doesn't show up and have to like clutch a battle or do 3 backflips and then get a shot in midair, if he doesn't do that, I'm disappointed. So
When has he ever done 3 backflips and got a kill?
It was an example. It was a hypothetical. It was to kind of let people know how great he needs to perform in order to satisfy everyone else's expectations.
Make him sound like Batman over there.
Batman is from another team and another region, and played in the Global Grand Finals.
PvP Super Friends.
Yeah,
the first Grand Finals. The team that ended up taking down Fnatic. That was a fun story to watch.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that another time because the battle's about to start.
I was referring to the comic Batman, but
I was talking about the player.
Yeah, I noticed.
Why do? Oh, I see.
There you go. 3 backflips, Batman.
Yeah,
there you go.
I just thought
right over your head.
Yep, right over, just like Batman.
Just like Battleship. A6 miss. Well, that being said, 07 coming in here with 3 100s, a T57, a Bat Chat, and 2 Tier 9 bats.
I don't even know how to react to you.
Meanwhile, Apex, a 113, 250Bs, an E100, a Kronwagen, a Bat Chat, and a UDIS.
All right, let's see what happens. This is Apex's match point. If they win here, it's over.
Now here's the thing that everyone cares about. Can Wallhacks get up onto the A3 boost without flipping himself over?
This is the greatest question of our age. The greatest question of our time. Scholars will debate this topic for years. Will he do it? Will he make it?
He gets it up first time, but here, this isn't where he got into trouble. When he got into trouble was trying to get over towards A3 once he's up here. Awkward ground. But he's going to be up here safe for now, and it looks like he's actually just going to get up against the red line.
Yeah, we've got actually a few tanks from the red team 07 watching the cap, waiting to see what's going to happen. And it looks like Wallhacks has successfully not flipped his tank, correct?
Yep, he's not in the same position where he was when he flipped last time, but that's just because he chose a different spot. And he's actually going to have a better shots from this angle. Some tanks can't get up here, but he's going to be up here all the way, essentially. You can't see it, but he is literally on the corner of the map right now. There's literally a red line underneath his tank.
Yeah, it doesn't display at this part. And now he might have a chance to prove how much he's worth with Fosta moving up. But Dodoma, what is hitting Dodoma right now? Everything, apparently. Because Fosta's even moving in, and he might be able to get the kill shot. Lead does.
Good night, my fantasy team. Meanwhile, Wallhacks is just sitting here, just firing shots at these E100s. But I don't know that he's going to make them count. He's just sitting here farming what he can. Meanwhile, the rest of the tanks for 07 are pushing in, and that's going to be Nitz that's going to get focused out next.
All right, Nitz will go. Fosta goes down. Makos goes down. 2 tanks from 07, and now Warbander's taking damage as well. He's going to try and find his way out. Will the support from 07 be enough to overwhelm Apex, or will Wallhacks in this UDES be able to rack up enough damage and support along with...
Ox is going to come in behind Swipple right here and Andypans, and we'll have to see if he's able to get some shots off. There's only 5 tanks left alive for Apex, and one of those is Brett on 198 HP, and then Wallhacks actually gets spotted, and he goes down, so he can't farm anymore. And now it is just down to 07 trying to get together and pick off a couple tanks real quickly.
Yeah, Leadif has 1 shell left. Ox Mathis picking that kill up. Now Warbander's going to want to find Emperor Brett. Andy Pans wants to stop Ox Mathis for as long as he can. Just bully him around with his E100. As his battle buddy Swipple shows up, he's going to have to be careful not to get in the way. And there we go. Swipple's able to get a shot on target. 875. I think that was fire, correct? And now God Emperor Brett is inside these buildings.
This isn't over yet. It's 4-4. It's just the HP leads to 07. But remember, they have these E100s. They started off with 2,700 HP, which is a little bit more than Apex brought.
Yep. And I think Camador might even be able to push a wreck into block.
Canadian Impact gets picks off, Andy Pans in the D100. Now Warbander's going to get folks out, tracked in the middle, and Ox actually picks up that from the third angle, and this all of a sudden might be Apex's round.
But these are E100s. They are tricky tanks. And if you do not respect them enough, they will take you down. Swipple can potentially block quite a bit of damage. Am I correct? There's a chance. Good angling.
The biggest thing here for this to be a thing is they both have to make their first shots count. Even if Swipple goes down, he has to make 1 shot count or it's over. And that could just be it right there on a Camador. The miss. He didn't get the kill. And now the Bat Chats are going to converge. They know that this 1E100 just fired. And they're going to get the kill on the Swipple and Camador. And that's going to end it. Camador could not miss that shot. He needed to take a gun out of the fight and make Apex hesitate a little bit more than he did. But he missed it. The Batchats knew, all right, one just fired. That's 750 gone. There's only one other E100 left to fire. So at worst, they kill one of us. That's still 3 to come in there and clean up these last 2. That's a bet they're willing to take every time, and they showed exactly why.
Yeah, exactly. That's Apex's teamwork winning out yet again. Got to give it to them. When the strat works, it works. The UDES played well. What was the damage output from the UDES? Can you tell me?
For the UDES, before he got completely obliterated off the side of that hill, 2,700 damage.
I'd say worth it. That's
not bad for a tier 8.
Exactly. Tier 8 tank able to deal sufficient damage. The E100s, I think, did their jobs very well. We saw one of them from Apex taking from 07 taking most of his hit points. That was, I believe, Swipple. Give him a lot of credit as a heavy player, taking just enough to stay alive. And I think it's hard to kind of quantify that or to really break it down. But when he's taking damage, that's not his lighter, less armored tanks taking damage. And so excellent play from Apex, showing us why they're dominant. 07 put up a good fight, just not quite good enough.
Yep, and I'm going to go ahead and shed a tear right now for Dodoma and his damage because he got evaporated when 07 made that push.
Yeah, if you were betting on Apex 07 being a longer match where you were going to rack up the points, unfortunately, we're a little disappointed tonight.
Well, I'm not. I'm hoping everyone picked players from 07 thinking this is going to be a long night, and that's going to help me catch up.
Oh, because you deliberately didn't pick them.
Because they have caused me many problems so far, and that's 07 players putting up so much points has really tanked my score in the fantasy standings.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you decided
hopefully
not
I can
to bank
catch
on
up tonight.
You should put more weight on the 07 players. There's a lot of really solid guys.
Well,
Leadif is someone who I'm surprised at. Leadif is supposed to be one of those guys who puts up the top points.
Until tonight, he was the top scorer in fantasy so far this season.
Yeah.
Now, after this game, I don't know that that's going to be the same case because he really wasn't that effective throughout the series, I don't think.
This is a good point. He did have some
trouble.
Well,
look at the totals. He's actually not even on the top 7. It's 7,200 damage on the series, so that's going to definitely hurt there.
Well, I mean, also think about there was a cap fast that happened, so Apex was able to win without almost any damage being dealt on the grand scheme. So out of that, it was just Apex played better. I think 07... What would you say? Do you think they underestimated Apex, or it was something more personal? Do you think it was them not expecting as much, or them just expecting to perform better and not?
I think part of it has to do with 07 having different opponents earlier on. They kind of got how well they were playing kind of got skewed out of proportions. You know, they're playing versus Deja Vu and then Valence, and then when you could versus Apex, it's a completely different ball game. But we'll get back to that in a second because we actually have the winner interview up right now.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, I should say. Comps, that was not quite the play that I expect from Apex. It was different. There was something very new or could you help me kind of like figure out what's going on with Apex? Why did we see gameplay like that?
I mean, it's Wally's calling.
Okay.
He's got a different approach on things, so that's sort of the way we've been going to be able to compete with EU and RU, hopefully at the grand finals. That's the direction we need to go to.
I completely agree. It is a little different to kind of follow, though. So what would you characterize that match as for Apex? Would you say that was as expected, or was it a little bit loose?
Well, it's a lot looser than I would like. I mean, a lot of mistakes were still made. Even though it's a 5-1, it was not clean. We still have a lot of stuff to clean up. But if it works, I mean, it works, so can't complain.
Okay, so whatever works. But what are you guys going to be doing going forward? What are you going to be reaching for going forward? What's the Apex that we're going to see on the battlefield maybe later this week, next week, or in a month?
A lot cleaner plays, a lot snappier decision making, and hopefully 5-0s. That would be a lot better.
I think everyone can wish for a few 5-0s. And then finally, I just wanted to ask about 07 and the way that they played tonight. Were you listening to comms during the cap fast? Why? What was going on with that? Why did they just let you guys cap it out?
I don't know. Apparently, well, from what I heard, the guys were expecting them to push in, and then Impact, I believe, spotted them, and they weren't doing anything. So maybe lack of information on their end. I mean, I don't know what was going on. So hopefully we'll watch the replays after and find out.
All right, well, we'll get the recap from you later then. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you for showing up, Comps. Thank you for giving us your insight. It's been a pleasure to watch Apex and play against 07. It was a little nostalgia right there, a little deja vu, and we'll see you next week or later this week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks.
So interesting stuff there.